What is up, and welcome to the Talking Smack Show. What a bad start. Gotta be honest, sick as hell today with hay fever, kicking my ass, but here we are. So, recapping Smackdown from last night on the 28th of March in London, England. It started off with Cody coming out. He was, again, just seemed in a good mood, loving life. He said he's excited to be standing face to face with Cena again next week. It's weird. I don't think Cena or Cody have mentioned The Rock once in all this time now. Um, what's that about? Like, honestly, I feel like they should just be mentioning him non-stop, like constantly. Like, he's the orchestrator of this. He's betrayed Cody, or he tried to proposition Cody, or whatever. Cena's made this turn and aligned with the devil. It seems strange, but there we are. Then Randy came out quite quickly, gave Cody his flowers, said that when he went to AEW, he changed the game, and that he's basically brilliant, loves him. However, once he's kicked KO's head off, he is going to be coming for the title. And then Drew McIntyre came out, called them Nepo babies, which made me laugh. The crowd were going wild by this point. Like, they couldn't contain themselves with Cody. The Randy entrance was off the chain. And then once Drew came out, they were going nuts. He was taking shots at Randy left, right, and centre, basically telling him he'd achieved nothing in the last couple of years, apart from being injured. And then he started confronting Cody, and Cody attacked him, basically. And I was thinking, like, Drew's promos always seem so real. Like, he just hates everyone, man. But yeah, it was fine start. Got people excited with the big names. And then it was announced later that Drew and Randy were going to have a match later on in the show. So then we had the match I was most looking forward to. And honestly, it was probably the high point of the show. Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly for the tag titles. I was desperate for Street Profits to lose. I really wanted Pretty Deadly to win the titles, even if they just have a short reign. Like, I think they've worked so hard, and they were treated as a joke for so long, and they've still just chipped away, and they're putting on great matches. And once again, this was another banging match. I didn't think they were gonna win, but I really wanted Pretty Deadly to win. I thought it was the tag division on SmackDown is just on fire, and this once again didn't let down. It was fantastic. There were lots of great moments during it. Pretty Deadly's double teams, like their work as a tag team, is fantastic. Kit Wilson, particularly, was really just sort of throwing his body on the line, saving the pins left, right, and centre. Unfortunately, Street Profits won. I guess, like, how hyped everyone was for them to come back, for them to drop the belts, 2 weeks later, would probably be a bit too much shade for them to handle. You'd have to think we're going to have a big multi-man tag match at WrestleMania. I was just on the internet earlier, saw about at one point there was a four corners tag match between the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and Chuck Palumbo and Billy Gunn, looking awkward in there. Or no, Edge and Christian weren't in it. It was Farouk and Bradshaw, APA, sorry. And something like that you could see with five people, five teams. So you've got DIY, Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, and Delgado, the Mexican guys, and Pretty Deadly. I think I'd love like a ladder match. I think for tag teams are always really fun, or perhaps a tables match. But I don't know. Like, nothing's been announced yet, but I think whatever happens, that match is going to be fire, and I'd love Pretty Deadly to come out of it. Like, obviously, I'm a patriot. shout out to my English boys coming out with their Union Jack kits as well. But I think they deserve it. So then backstage, we had Katana Chance and Caden Carter. I'd forgotten they existed, to be honest. They were showing love to Zelina Vega, and then Chelsea Green and Piper Niven and Alba Fire were there. And Zelina was saying that if things were even, she'd have won the match. But because because Piper Niven had backup last week, that's why she lost. So then they all three, Zelina, Caden, and Katana, all stepped forwards, ready to square off. And then Chelsea stepped back and went, "No problem. P&A would love to fight you, Piper and Alba." And then, so the match was announced and it happened pretty much instantly. And we have now quite possibly my favourite tag team name of all time. So Piper Niven and Alba Fire are now known as the Secret Hervis, which is just brilliant. I love the Secret Service president story at the moment. It's so much fun. Like, they're just hilarious, all three of those ladies. Like, Chelsea Green is gold. But the match was fine, solid enough. I liked Caden Carter. She impressed me quite a bit, I thought. But really, it was what it was. Chelsea got involved. Piper Niven won. But Piper is on a tear, man. She did a great. So the three other ladies were outside the ring at one point, and Piper Niven hopped over the ring ropes, which was cool in itself, and then did off of the apron a running swanton onto Carter and Chance, and like, she is just building up ahead of steam. I think what we're probably going to have down the line, not for a few months still. I think the Secret Hervis story's got some legs in it, but eventually Chelsea Green's probably going to start abusing Piper Niven, taking advantage of her. Piper Niven's going to lose it. And I hope eventually we're going to get a Piper Niven US champion run, because she's really improved and is really impressing me with the way that she's developed recently. And I also would like Chelsea Green to be in the main event picture by the end of the year, because I think she's a star. But yeah. So then we had Braun Strowman versus LA Knight. I mean, I can't get excited about Braun Strowman matches, to be honest. And this was what it was. Like, it was boring. I didn't really enjoy it. And then quite quickly, the whole I was just waiting for Jacob Fatu to come out. Like, it was obvious he was going to interrupt it. And he did. And it did not disappoint. Once Jacob Fatu came out, it was all gas and no brakes. He fucked up Braun Strowman. LA Knight tried to get involved. He fucked up LA Knight. And then he fucked up Braun Strowman some more. He did the hip charges again and again. He gave Braun Strowman probably 4 moonsaults. I love Jacob Fatu, man. He is the realest character. Like, he is so fun. He is a psychopath. I think he's legit a psychopath. And it's just so cool, like, seeing his rise. He has to get the US title at WrestleMania, in my opinion. Once he went backstage, he was just like giving it all that, like he does. And then Solo and Tama like confronted him, saying they weren't cool with it, which didn't really make sense to me. But I guess it supports Jacob Fatu's idea that Solo is out for Solo, not for Fatu. And then Jacob said, "When it comes to me and Strowman, I'll be the last man standing." So you'd hope we're going to have a last man standing match, maybe next week, maybe the week after, and that should be fun. Like I said, I can't get excited about Braun Strowman, but I can definitely get excited about Jacob Fatu. And this is set up that he has to decimate Braun Strowman, which I'm all for. So that's fun. I don't know whether it'll be Braun Strowman versus Fatu at Mania in the last man standing, or whether it'll be like a triple threat match between the three of them. I don't think we can have another triple threat. My hope is we draw a line under Braun Strowman next week. Fatu versus LA Knight at Mania. Fatu smacks the shit out of LA Knight, and then we just have some tear until eventually he fights Solo Sikoa, and I'd still like him to fuck Solo up as well. So after that, we had a video of Naomi whining. Didn't really care for that. Then before Charlotte Flair versus Minchin, we had B-Fab and Minchin were basically saying how much they supported Cargill over everything. Minchin and B-Fab came out. As soon as Minchin got in the ring, Naomi battered Minchin and then really put the hurt on B-Fab, threw her into the reinforced table. It again didn't break, which is cool. When is that table going to break? It has to be Mania, right? And then Jade Cargill came down for the save. Naomi ran off. Cargill was helping B-Fab back to backstage because she was so hurt. And then Charlotte Flair's music came out. When Charlotte came out, she did a little face-off with Jade Cargill, which was exciting because I think them two are going to have a hell of a match when they fight. I think Charlotte Flair will win the title against Tiffy at Mania, but she might not. Either way, I really look forward to Charlotte versus Cargill at some point down the line. As you'd expect, Charlotte just fucked her up, really, Minchin up. She gave her a big boot, tried getting the pin right away, didn't. And then at one point, she was just tossing Minchin about with her legs. It was pretty, I loved it. I thought it was pretty wild. And then, like, she was just showing so much disrespect to Minchin. Like, she was going for the pins without even trying to do moves. And then eventually got Minchin in the figure eight and won. It was like you'd expect. It's just making Charlotte look strong. I thought Tiffy was going to come down and interrupt, but she didn't. She did a little promo at the end saying Charlotte has everything to lose. Okay. But I'm looking forward to that match. We've still got 3 more Smackdowns before WrestleMania. And I think what we're starting to see now is that where all those stories are set, we're just having like promos and interruptions. And I think honestly, like this show, that really was quite telling. Like the crowd were wild, but it was just like a lot of what was going on just felt like filler this week, to be honest. So it like there was still like really fun elements to the show, but it was a lot of story stalling, like not really any progression with anything, in my opinion. So then we had Randy versus Drew as like a follow-up to what happened at the start of the show. It was all right. That was it really, though. There was a pretty good moment where like Drew was jumping on Randy's back. Eventually, Randy turned over, poked him in the eyes. I enjoyed that for some reason. But yeah, like the match was fine. KO came out, like just staring there. Randy got distracted. He got a Claymore. Drew got the win, and then KO attacked Randy. He pulled Randy to the announce table, and was going for the pull-up pile driver. Randy got out. KO ran away. So then Drew, later on in the show, Drew was backstage talking to Louis Capaldi. Not a big fan of him either. Least charismatic man alive. And he was saying that he's going to the pub. I think he said some shit about Damian Priest. I can't really remember. As he walked out the door to go to the pub, Damian Priest was there, and Damian Priest attacked. It was good. Like Damian Priest looked a pussy up to this point, so it was good to see Damian Priest really get Drew. And then there was this weird guy with an old BMW there, and basically, long story short, is Damian Priest put Drew through the windscreen with the South of Heaven chokeslam. Yeah, like I was glad Damien Priest got it, got Drew, and then Drew was writhing on the car going, "I've got glass in my eye." So we'll see whether anything comes of that in the next few weeks. Earlier on in the night, Jimmy was interviewed about slapping the spit out of Gunther's mouth, and the Miz was there, and he basically called him the other brother. So they had a match. It was relatively fun. Big Jim got the win, as you'd expect at this point, because he needs to be credible before his match against Gunther next week on Raw. But again, like I said, that it was just filler, really. Like, it didn't feel important. Apparently, Jimmy's had the most matches on SmackDown in 2025, which props to him. So then, to finish the show, we had the contract sign-in between Roman Reigns, who came out first, then CM Punk and then Seth Rollins, and then CM Punk. So when it happened, I was thinking, like, why did WWE keep doing these? Like, when was the last time a contract signing went to plan? So the tribal chief was there. He signed the contract and he was about to leave, and then Seth came down. Rollins was saying how it seemed fitting that they were at London, where they'd arrived on a helicopter once and they'd built the company together. Reigns said, we, doing his best like Vin Diesel impression, which I love for him. And he said, it was me. And then Rollins was saying that Reigns had the chance to cut the snake's head off, but didn't, and now they were going to pay. Then the most interesting part really was was really when Punk came out. It started off by going, "I've come out here to chew gum and sign contracts, and I'm all out of bubble gum." It was just stupid, but made me laugh. And Punk was going through the contract for ages. Reigns went, "What? You need a highlighter?" Which cracked me up. That was probably the funniest part of the show, I thought. And then he told him like where the clause was, and basically Punk is headlining WrestleMania for the first time in his career. Him and Heyman had a little cuddle while Reigns was just wetting himself laughing. It was quite funny. Like, he was condescending basically in that he's headlined so many WrestleManias at this point. It doesn't mean much to him. Whereas Punk was crying, and it looked pretty legit. Like, he's worked very hard. Obviously, he left WWE because he felt like he wasn't getting the chances or the respect he deserved, and then he's come back, and he has been like a brilliant servant since he's come back to the WWE, in my opinion, and this is really well deserved. So he signed the contract. Reigns basically told him that he needed to say thank you. Punk got on his knees and gave the most sarcastic thanks possible. And then he signed the contract, and then he said, "Thanks, but that's not the favour I'm owed." And that was how it ended. We had a contract signing where the contracts were signed and no one was put through a table, no one was attacked, no drama whatsoever. It was underwhelming, to be honest, which is probably the best description of the show in general. Like, just looking at the time now, and this is like 10 minutes shorter than normal. And I think, honestly, it's because it was probably like 33% less content than we've had recently. Like, I've been loving SmackDown and Raw the last few weeks, but this just felt like the build up to WrestleMania has gone on too long. I think probably like either they need like another pay-per-view in the middle, or move Elimination Chamber 2 weeks further down. Don't have so many of the stories set up before Elimination Chamber. I just feel like we're starting to run on a bit of an empty tank here. Hopefully next week we'll get back revitalized, and then obviously like the last week before Mania will be all gas and no brakes. So we'll have nothing stopping us at that point. I am really excited for WrestleMania, but I think these next couple of weeks might be a bit of a slog. I don't feel like anything particularly moved forwards apart from the tag team division. That has to be a multi-man match. But other than that, I mean, like, we're probably going to have Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green at WrestleMania, or a 6-woman tag match. Neither of those particularly excite me. Yeah. So that's it, really. If you would like some help with your nutrition or your health, scan the QR code in the bottom corner, or check out the website, Foundations Health Coaching, or the Instagram. But with that said, have a good weekend and keep it up with all gas and no breaks. Oh.